Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Roy English Talk. Can you really learn English while you sleep? Imagine closing your eyes tonight and waking up more fluent tomorrow morning. Sounds unbelievable, right? But here's the surprising truth. Scientists have actually studied how the brain absorbs information during sleep, and the results might shock you. In this video, we're going to uncover the myths, the real science, and the smart ways you can actually use your sleep to boost your English skills. Throughout history, people have dreamed of learning without effort. Imagine putting on headphones at night, falling asleep, and waking up speaking perfect English. No studying, no practice, no stress. Just close your eyes, drift into dreamland, and wake up smarter. It sounds like something out of a science fiction movie. But this idea has been around for nearly a century. Back in the 1920s and 30s, when radios were becoming popular, inventors saw an opportunity. They created machines that played recordings while you slept, promising to teach you new skills overnight. One of the most famous was called the psychophone, a bizarre device that would whisper affirmations and lessons while you dreamed. Advertisements promised that you could learn a new language, boost your confidence, and even fix bad habits simply by letting the machine talk to your subconscious. For people at the time, it felt like magic. After all, who wouldn't want to wake up with a brand new ability without putting in the hard work? By the 1950s, the idea of sleep learning, or hypnopedia, as it was sometimes called, was everywhere. Companies sold vinyl records and cassette tapes filled with vocabulary lists, motivational speeches, and entire English lessons. These products were marketed with bold claims like, "Learn while you rest," or "Turn your pillow into a classroom." People loved the idea because it promised maximum results with minimum effort. No late-night studying, no flashcards, no embarrassing speaking practice. Just sleep. Hollywood quickly picked up on the concept. In movies and television shows, characters would listen to foreign language tapes in their sleep and magically wake up fluent. One famous example is in the book Brave New World by Aldous Huxley, published in 1932. In this futuristic story, children were taught morals and lessons by listening to repeated phrases while they slept. The book wasn't scientific proof, of course, but it showed just how powerful the idea of sleep learning had become in popular imagination. Psychologists were also intrigued by the idea, and some even ran early experiments. In the 1950s, researchers tested whether playing vocabulary words during deep sleep could help students remember them. At first, some studies seemed promising. Students recalled a few more words the next day. But when other scientists repeated the experiments with stricter controls, the effect disappeared. Most of the supposed learning was happening when the students were half awake, not fully asleep. This was one of the first big cracks in the myth. But by then, companies had already made millions selling tapes and records. As the decades went on, the craze only grew. By the 1960s, sleep learning tapes were advertised in magazines and late-night radio programs. You could buy courses that promised to help you stop smoking, lose weight, gain confidence, or learn English, all while you slept peacefully in your bed. People wanted shortcuts, and this sounded like the ultimate hack. Instead of spending hours in a classroom or struggling with grammar books, you could just lie down and let your subconscious do the work. But here's the catch. Almost none of these promises were backed by real science. The marketing was clever, the packaging was attractive, and the claims were bold, but the results were disappointing. People bought the tapes, used them for weeks, and often felt no real improvement. Still, the idea was so appealing that many kept believing, thinking, maybe I just need to try a different program. Maybe it will work this time. And even today, the myth hasn't disappeared. In fact, it's stronger than ever. Just search YouTube right now, and you'll find countless videos with titles like Learn English While You Sleep or 8 Hours of English Listening While Sleeping. These videos often have millions of views. The thumbnails show peaceful sleepers with headphones on, while text promises fluency overnight. Some modern TikTok creators even make skits joking about falling asleep with English lessons playing and waking up with a perfect American accent. It's funny, entertaining, and it keeps the myth alive in people's minds. Why does this idea keep coming back, decade after decade? Because deep down, all of us wish there was an easier way. Learning a language like English takes time, practice, and patience. It can feel overwhelming. So when someone offers a magical solution, learn while you sleep, our brains want to believe it. It's the same reason people fall for quick-fix diets, get-rich-quick schemes, or miracle gadgets. The promise is just too tempting. Of course, there's also a bit of truth mixed in, and that's what keeps the myth alive. We know the brain is not off when we sleep. We dream, we organize memories, and we process information from the day. So it's natural to think, if my brain is active while I sleep, maybe it can also learn new things. That little possibility keeps people curious, even when the evidence isn't convincing. But here's the important question. Can you really play hours of English vocabulary at night and wake up fluent? Sadly, the answer is no. If it were that easy, everyone would already be using it, and schools wouldn't exist. But does that mean sleep has nothing to do with learning? Not exactly. The truth is much more interesting. Scientists have discovered that sleep plays a massive role in memory, learning, and language. But the way it works is not what those old advertisements promised. In the next section, we'll dive into what research actually says. We'll explore how your brain processes information while you're sleeping, whether listening to audio at night helps or not, and how you can use this knowledge to make your English studies more effective. And here's the surprise. While you won't wake up fluent overnight, you might be able to use sleep as a secret weapon to boost your progress faster than you thought possible. Now that we've seen the myths, let's turn to the real science. Because here's the thing. While those old advertisements were exaggerated, modern neuroscience has shown that sleep is absolutely crucial for learning. Not because you can pour new knowledge directly into your brain during the night, but because sleep transforms the knowledge you already have into something stronger and more permanent. To understand why, let's look at what actually happens inside your brain when you sleep. Sleep isn't just one long, peaceful state. It's made up of cycles, and each cycle has different stages. Two of the most important for learning are deep sleep, also called slow-wave sleep, and REM sleep, which is when you dream. During deep sleep, your brain acts like a librarian working late at night. All the information you took in during the day, new words, grammar patterns, conversations, is reviewed and sorted. Your brain decides what's worth keeping, strengthens those connections, and slowly moves them from short-term memory into long-term storage. If you've ever wondered why cramming before an exam without sleeping makes you forget everything the next day, this is why. Without deep sleep, your brain can't lock in new knowledge. Then comes REM sleep. This is when your brain becomes super active, almost as if you're awake. You often dream during this stage. Scientists believe REM sleep helps you connect ideas, solve problems, and even rehearse experiences. If you've ever had a dream where you were speaking English with someone, that might have been your brain practicing what you studied. REM sleep doesn't give you new vocabulary, but it can help your brain play with language in creative ways. So what does this mean for learning English? It means sleep doesn't magically add knowledge, but it strengthens and organizes what you studied while awake. If you practice vocabulary, listen to English, or have a conversation during the day, sleep is the process that helps that information stick. But here's where it gets interesting. In recent years, scientists have asked, can audio played during sleep influence memory? The answer is yes, but only in specific situations. 1 of the most famous studies came from researchers at the University of Zurich in 2014. Participants were asked to learn pairs of foreign vocabulary words before bed. While they slept, scientists quietly played half of those words again during deep sleep. The next morning, the participants remembered the repeated words significantly better than the ones that were not replayed. In other words, their brains were still listening, at least a little. Another experiment in 2012 at Northwestern University found similar results. Students learned musical patterns while awake. When those same patterns were played softly during deep sleep, the students performed better on them the next day. Their brains had reinforced the practice while resting, but notice the key detail. These methods only reinforce what you already studied. They don't create brand new knowledge. If you haven't studied English words while awake, your brain won't magically absorb them from a recording at night. The science shows that sleep can strengthen, not replace, the work you do during the day. There's also the issue of timing. These effects only happen in certain sleep stages. If the audio is too loud or poorly timed, it wakes you up instead of helping. That's why many of those 8-hour English audio while you sleep videos on YouTube are misleading. Your brain isn't actively learning every second. It's mostly ignoring the noise. Only under controlled conditions, with carefully timed audio, do we see reinforcement effects. So should you play English lessons all night? Not exactly. Think of it like exercise. Doing push-ups while you're awake makes you stronger. Sleep is like the recovery that repairs your muscles. A little gentle reinforcement may help, but the heavy lifting still has to happen while you're conscious. Here's another fascinating fact. Sleep doesn't just protect your memory, it can erase it if you don't use it. Studies have shown that if you stay awake after learning something, your brain can lose much of that knowledge within hours. But if you sleep, those memories are consolidated and stay stronger for days, even weeks. For language learners, this means that consistent sleep is just as important as consistent practice. Without it, you'll constantly feel like you're forgetting what you just studied. And then there's dreaming. Some researchers believe dreams may even help language learners practice. People who dream about a new skill, like skiing, playing piano, or speaking a language, often perform better the next day. Imagine you studied English vocabulary and then dreamed you were using those words in conversation. That could be your brain rehearsing the skill subconsciously. It's not guaranteed, of course, but it shows just how active your brain really is while you sleep. So, what's the big takeaway from all this science? Sleep is not a miracle teacher, but it's the best assistant your brain could ever have. It doesn't pour brand new English words into your head, but it does transform your hard work into lasting knowledge. And yes, carefully timed audio might help reinforce what you've learned, but it can't replace practice, speaking, or exposure while awake. Think of sleep as cement. During the day, you lay the bricks by studying. At night, the cement dries and hardens, locking everything in place. If you skip sleep, the wall collapses. If you sleep well, the wall becomes solid, and you can build higher the next day. So the next time you're tempted to pull an all-nighter or rely only on sleep learning audio, remember, the real magic isn't in skipping the work. It's in combining the work with the power of sleep. In the next section, we'll look at how to actually use this knowledge to your advantage. Because while you can't wake up fluent overnight, you can design your study routine in a way that lets sleep maximize your results. And once you know how to use sleep strategically, learning English will feel easier, smoother, and far more effective. All right, so now we know the truth. You can't magically download English into your brain while you sleep. But the story doesn't end there. Sleep can still be one of your most powerful allies if you know how to use it the right way. The question is, How do we turn this science into real results for your English learning? The first strategy is simple but often overlooked. Study before you go to bed. Research shows that memories formed shortly before sleep are more likely to be consolidated. Think of it like writing something in wet cement. If you go to bed soon after, the cement dries and locks it in. If you wait too long, the memory fades. So if you want to remember English vocabulary, grammar, or expressions, make your last activity of the day a short review session. Just 15-20 minutes of focused practice can make a huge difference. But here's the catch. The review should be active, not passive. That means instead of just rereading notes or scrolling through a list of words, test yourself. Cover the answer, say the word out loud, or try to use it in a sentence. This forces your brain to work harder, and the effort creates stronger connections. When you then go to sleep, your brain strengthens those exact pathways. The second strategy is to use spaced repetition plus sleep. Spaced repetition is the technique of reviewing information at increasing intervals, like reviewing a word today, then 2 days later, then a week later. When you combine this with sleep, you get a double boost. Each time you review before bed, you lock the information in again. Over weeks, this builds an incredibly strong memory. Apps like Anki or Quizlet use this principle, but you can do it with simple flashcards too. Here's a real-life example. Maria, a student from Brazil, started reviewing 10 English words every night using a flashcard app. Before bed, she would test herself, say the words out loud, and create short sentences. Within 3 months, she wasn't just memorizing words, she was using them naturally in conversation. She credits the combination of evening study and consistent sleep for her progress. The third strategy involves audio, but with a twist. Remember how we said sleep audio doesn't create new knowledge but can reinforce what you already studied? That means if you want to try sleep listening, you should first study the material while awake. For example, learn a list of 20 English words in the evening. Listen to them once or twice. Then set up a low-volume playlist to play softly during the first few hours of your sleep. Don't blast it all night because that can disturb your cycles. Instead, think of it as giving your brain a gentle reminder while it's organizing your memories. Another key factor is consistency. You can't expect great results if your sleep is irregular. The brain thrives on patterns. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day trains your body to move smoothly through sleep cycles. When your deep sleep and REM sleep are consistent, your brain has the maximum chance to consolidate learning. On the other hand, irregular sleep, staying up late one night, waking up early the next, breaks those cycles and weakens your memory. Here's an analogy. Imagine your brain is like a computer that runs a backup every night. If you interrupt the backup halfway through, files get lost. But if you let the full process finish, everything is saved properly. That's exactly what consistent, high-quality sleep does for your English learning. Now let's talk about dreams. Can you actually influence your dreams to practice English? It sounds crazy, but some learners have reported success with a technique called dream incubation. Basically, before bed, you focus on a theme, like imagining yourself in a conversation in English. Some people even write down a question or a phrase they want to practice. While it doesn't always work, it can increase the chance of dreaming in English. And when it happens, it's a sign your brain is actively processing the language. But don't just take my word for it. Studies have found that people who dream about a skill often improve faster. In one experiment at Harvard, students were taught a new maze game. The ones who dreamed about it performed far better the next day than those who didn't dream about it at all. If this applies to languages, then dreaming in English, even once in a while, could give you a unique boost. Another practical trick is called interleaving, or mixing different kinds of study before bed. Instead of only practicing vocabulary or only reading, try combining tasks. For example, Spend 10 minutes learning new words, 10 minutes reading a short text, and 10 minutes listening to a podcast. When you sleep, your brain doesn't store those activities in separate boxes. It weaves them together. This can make your English knowledge more flexible and useful in real-life conversations. Now let's step into the daily routine perspective. Imagine two learners, John, who studies only in the morning, and Aisha, who studies both morning and evening. John spends an hour on grammar in the morning but doesn't touch English again all day. Aisha studies for 30 minutes in the morning and reviews for 20 minutes at night before sleep. After a month, Aisha often remembers more because her brain had the chance to consolidate her evening reviews overnight. It's not about studying longer. It's about studying smarter. Finally, we need to talk about lifestyle. Sleep learning isn't just about what you do before bed. It's also about how well you sleep. Caffeine late at night, too much screen time, or a noisy environment can destroy the quality of your sleep cycles. And if your deep sleep is disrupted, your learning suffers. So if you're serious about using sleep as a learning tool, take care of your sleep hygiene, keep a regular schedule, limit screens before bed, and create a quiet, dark space for rest. To sum it up, here's the winning formula. Study something new in the evening. Actively review it before bed. Optionally, reinforce with low-volume audio. Get consistent, high-quality sleep. Let your brain do its job overnight. Follow this routine, and you'll notice your memory for English words, grammar, and listening skills improving. It won't be magic. It will be science working in your favor. In the next section, we'll get even more practical. I'll share specific routines, daily schedules, and real examples of how English learners around the world are already using these strategies successfully. Because the theory is fascinating, but the results are what really matter. So far, we've explored the history and the science of sleep learning. We've learned what really happens in your brain and how to use sleep as a tool to boost your English. But theory only matters if you can apply it. So now, let's get practical. How can you actually use all this information in your daily life? How can a student, a professional, or even a busy parent apply these strategies and see real results? Let's break it down step by step. The first practical tip is to plan your study around your sleep, not against it. Most people study randomly, sometimes in the morning, sometimes late at night, sometimes not at all. But your brain loves patterns. If you make studying before bed a habit, even if it's just 15-20 minutes, your brain will expect it and prepare to strengthen those memories overnight. Let's say you're a college student. Your day is full of classes, assignments, and maybe even a part-time job. Instead of waiting until you're exhausted at 2 a.m., set a consistent time, like 10 p.m., to review English. You don't need an hour. Even 20 minutes of active recall before sleep will have a big impact. Now imagine you're a working adult with a busy schedule. You come home tired, cook dinner, maybe take care of your kids. By the time you sit down, you're drained. For you, the solution might be shorter but consistent sessions. 5 minutes of flashcards while brushing your teeth, followed by a short podcast as you lie in bed, can still give your brain material to process overnight. The key is consistency, not perfection. The second practical tip is to use different modes of learning at night. Don't just stick to one method. For example, if you're reviewing vocabulary, also read a short passage that uses those words, or listen to a clip where they appear. This way, when your brain processes the information at night, it connects the words to multiple contexts. The stronger and more varied the connections, the easier it is to recall later. Here's a practical example. Let's say today's word is curious. You might write it in a flashcard. Read a short article that includes the word, and listen to a short podcast where someone uses it in conversation. Before bed, you quickly test yourself on the meaning. That night, your brain isn't just memorizing the word, it's linking it to sentences, sounds, and emotions. The third practical tip is about audio reinforcement. If you want to experiment with listening while you sleep, do it strategically. Don't just play random English lessons for 8 hours. Instead, pick 10-20 words or sentences you studied earlier in the evening, put them into a playlist, set the volume low, and play it during the first 2 hours of your sleep. That's when deep sleep happens, and that's when reinforcement is most likely to work. Another tip: use short, realistic goals. Too many learners set massive goals. I'll learn 100 new words a day, and then give up. A better strategy is to focus on 5-10 words per night. Imagine learning just 7 new words daily. That's over 2,500 words a year. With sleep helping to reinforce them, those words will actually stay with you. Next, let's talk about speaking and listening practice. Many learners focus only on reading and writing before bed. But if your goal is to actually speak English, you should practice speaking at night too. Try recording yourself saying a few sentences with the new words you learned. Play them back, listen carefully, and correct yourself. When you go to sleep, your brain processes not only the vocabulary, but also the sound of your own voice using it. Here's another practical routine. Step 1. Review 5 to 10 new words. Step 2. Read or listen to a short story that uses those words. Step 3. Record yourself saying 2 sentences with each word. Step 4. Quickly listen to your recording. Step 5. Go to bed and let your brain do the rest. This entire process can take less than 30 minutes, but it gives your brain maximum input to consolidate during sleep. Now let's make it even more practical for different types of learners. For students, study right after dinner, then review again before bed. Keep your phone away while reviewing so you're not distracted. For professionals, use your commute for listening practice, then do a quick 10-minute review before sleep. For parents, involve your kids. Practice English words with them before bed. It helps both of you and turns study time into bonding time. For travelers, if you're preparing for a trip, review phrases you'll actually need, like how much does this cost? Or where is the station? Sleep will help cement those survival phrases so they're ready when you need them. The fourth tip is to use your mornings wisely. Sleep consolidates memories, but the next morning is when they are freshest. That's why reviewing the same material in the morning is powerful. It's like opening your notebook after the ink has dried. Just 5 minutes of checking the words you studied the night before can double your retention. Here's an example. Ahmed, an engineer from Egypt, began a simple routine. At night, he studied 10 new English phrases. In the morning, he quickly reviewed them while drinking coffee. After 2 months, he was shocked at how easily he remembered phrases that used to slip away. His secret wasn't studying harder. It was studying smarter by aligning with sleep. Let's take another example. Sophia, a nurse in Spain, had little free time. She began practicing one English dialogue from a medical scenario each evening. At night, she replayed the audio softly as she fell asleep. In the morning, she wrote down everything she remembered. Over time, she noticed she didn't just recall phrases, she could use them naturally with patience. The final tip is about tracking your progress. Too often, learners forget what they've already achieved and get discouraged. Keep a simple notebook where you write down the words or sentences you review each night. Every weekend, flip through the pages. This not only reinforces the knowledge but also shows you how much you've grown. Motivation is a huge part of language learning, and seeing your progress written down can be a powerful boost. So let's summarize the practical system. Study a small amount in the evening. Actively recall before bed. Reinforce with low-volume audio if you want. Sleep consistently and well. Review again in the morning. Track your progress. Follow this system and you'll see real changes. not in days, but in weeks and months. And the best part? It doesn't require extra hours. It simply uses the time you're already spending asleep to your advantage. By now, you probably realize that sleep can help you learn English, but not in the magical way some people imagine. So let's clear the air once and for all. It's time to separate the myths from the truth. Myth number 1. You can become fluent in English just by listening while you sleep. This is the most popular idea out there. You've probably seen YouTube videos with titles like "Learn English in 8 hours while you sleep." Sounds amazing, right? Unfortunately, it's not true. Listening while you sleep can reinforce material you've already studied, but it cannot replace real practice. Fluency requires speaking, writing, and active engagement. Truth. Sleep is a booster, not a teacher. Think of it like fertilizer for a plant. If you never plant the seed, if you don't study during the day, sleep has nothing to grow. Take Maria, a student from Brazil. She relied only on sleep audio lessons for 6 months, hoping to wake up fluent. But when she tried to talk to her classmates, she realized she couldn't form sentences. After switching to active practice combined with sleep reinforcement, she finally started to see progress. Myth number 2. The longer you play English audio while sleeping, the more you'll learn. Many people believe they should keep headphones on all night. But here's the reality. Your brain cycles through different stages of sleep, and the deepest stages are when memory consolidation happens. Playing hours and hours of lessons may actually disturb your sleep, leaving you tired and less able to learn. Truth. Quality of sleep is more important than quantity of audio. Playing short, focused recordings for the first couple of hours is enough. Your brain does the rest naturally. One learner in the US tried blasting English podcasts all night. Instead of waking up smarter, he woke up grumpy, unfocused, and less motivated. Once he reduced it to just 30 minutes of gentle review before deep sleep, his retention improved. Myth number 3. Sleep learning is a modern discovery. Some people think this idea is brand new, born from YouTube or smartphone apps. But as we saw earlier, this myth is almost a century old. From the 1920s psychophone to 1950s cassette tapes, people have been selling the same dream for decades. Truth. The science of sleep learning has been around for years, but only recently have we begun to understand what actually works and what doesn't. Pop culture helped spread this myth. Remember the movie The Matrix? Neo downloads Kung Fu in seconds. Or those comedy scenes where someone listens to French tapes in their sleep and wakes up fluent. These stories are entertaining, but they make us believe shortcuts are real. Myth number 4. Everyone learns the same way while sleeping. This is a big misconception. Some learners think if they play English audio at night, they'll all get the same result. But sleep is deeply personal. Some people sleep deeply and can benefit more from reinforcement, while others wake easily and may find audio disruptive. Truth. Sleep learning is not one size fits all. The best strategy is to test it yourself. Try low-volume audio for a week and see if it helps. If it doesn't, focus instead on strong evening study and morning review. For example, Ravi in India found sleep listening distracting because he's a light sleeper. But Emma in Canada, who sleeps like a rock, found that 20 minutes of bedtime listening improved her recall. Different brains, different results. Myth number 5. Sleep learning replaces effort. This is probably the most dangerous myth. Many people buy into the idea because they want a shortcut. But shortcuts in language learning rarely work. If you rely only on sleep learning, you'll end up disappointed. Truth. Sleep learning is powerful only when combined with active learning, studying, practicing, speaking, and listening while awake. Think of it like charging your phone. The charger doesn't work unless the phone is already connected. Sleep learning can't charge your English unless you're already feeding your brain material while awake. Now let's bust a few extra myths that still confuse learners today. Myth: playing English songs while you sleep will teach you grammar. Truth: music is fun and helps with rhythm, but songs often break grammar rules for style. Great for vibe, not structure. Myth: if you dream in English, it means you're fluent. Truth: dreaming in English shows your brain is practicing, but it's just a step, not the finish line. Myth: sleeping with a book under your pillow will transfer knowledge. Truth: this comes from old superstition. Books don't leak information into your brain overnight. Myth: you can fix your accent completely by listening during sleep. Truth: sleep listening can sharpen pronunciation awareness, but real accent improvement comes from speaking practice with feedback. So why do these myths keep coming back, generation after generation? Because the human brain loves shortcuts. Learning English is challenging, and the idea of effort-free progress is incredibly tempting. Marketers know this. That's why they repackage the same myth over and over. Cassette tapes yesterday, apps and YouTube videos today. But here's the good news. Once you know the truth, you can use sleep learning wisely. Instead of wasting time chasing miracles, you can combine active learning with smart sleep habits. That's the formula that works. Every night, your brain is already doing incredible work, sorting, organizing, strengthening memories. When you feed it with the right material before bed, it's like giving your brain high-quality fuel. And you'll wake up sharper, stronger, and more confident in English. So the next time you see a video or ad claiming you can download English overnight, you'll know better. You'll know that real fluency isn't about magic, it's about smart habits. And that brings us to our final step. In the next section, we'll bring everything together. We'll summarize what we've learned, share the key takeaways, and create a realistic action plan to help you move forward. And I'll give you one last powerful secret to keep your motivation strong. Stay tuned. It's time for the conclusion. So, can you really learn English while you sleep? The truth is, yes, but not in the way the myths promise. You won't wake up fluent overnight. But your brain does something incredible each night. It takes the information you studied and locks it into long-term memory. Sleep doesn't replace effort. It multiplies it. Think about the journey we've taken together. We started with the myth of effortless learning, from old cassette tapes to modern YouTube videos. Then we explored the science of sleep and discovered that your brain is far from lazy at night. We saw how memory consolidation works and how reinforcement during sleep can boost recall. We also talked about the strategies that actually work: studying before bed, reviewing in the morning, experimenting with audio reinforcement, and creating consistent routines. Then we debunked the myths that confuse learners and keep them chasing shortcuts. Now, let's bring it all together into a simple action plan you can start using tonight. Choose a small goal. Pick 5-10 words or sentences you want to learn. Study before bed. Write them down, read them aloud, and test yourself. Optional: play short audio. Keep it low volume, focused, and no longer than 30-60 minutes. Get quality sleep? Protect your rest. It's the foundation of your learning. Review in the morning. Spend 5 minutes recalling what you studied. Repeat daily. Small, consistent effort beats giant, irregular effort every time. That's it. No tricks, no fake promises. Just science and smart habits. And here's the most important part. Don't underestimate your progress. If you follow this system for weeks, then months, you will see real results. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. Every day, every night, you'll move one step closer to fluency. Let me leave you with one powerful thought. Every time you go to sleep, your brain is already working for you. So why not give it the right tools? Why not turn your sleep into a secret study partner? If you've watched this far, it means you're serious about learning English. And that's why I have one final challenge for you. Tonight, before you go to bed, pick 5 new English words, study them, say them aloud, and let your brain do the rest while you sleep. Tomorrow morning, check how many you remember. That small win will prove to you that this system works. Now, if this video helped you, I'd love for you to join this community. Hit the subscribe button, like this video, and share it with anyone who's trying to learn English. Together, we can grow smarter, faster, and stronger. Remember, fluency is not magic, it's momentum. Keep moving, keep practicing, and let sleep be your silent teacher. I'll see you in the next video.